He entered the office. He sat down. He opened the file. You know, when you tell a story with just the facts, it feels cold, right? Kind of distant, almost like you're reading a police report. But what if you could do more than just report on the past? What if you could actually pull someone back into it with you?
But before we get into that, if you enjoy stories like this, please take a moment to follow the channel and share this. It genuinely helps this community grow and lets me create more stories just like this for you. Okay, now listen again. Outside, the city was humming. His heart was pounding. He entered the office. See? The facts are the same, but now we're not just watching, we're feeling. We're right there in the room with him. So what changed? It was a single grammatical tool, one that acts like a time machine.
Okay, so let's get into it. In English, we mostly talk about the past in one main way, but Spanish splits the past into two totally different realities. The first one is for those sharp, finished actions, the facts, the he entered the office part. But the second one, well, that's where the real magic is. It's called el imperfecto.
And the secret is right there in the name. Imperfecto literally means not finished. And that's the whole point. This tense couldn't care less about when an action started or when it ended. All it cares about is the feeling of that action while it was happening. It's all about describing a flowing, continuous scene, not just a single point in time. And that is the key to our time machine.
So the first way the imperfect lets us time travel is by basically painting this cinematic backdrop for a memory. Think of it like setting the stage in a movie. It tells you everything that was happening in the background, right when some sharp main action suddenly cut through it all. Just think about this for a second. I arrived. That's the main event. It happened, boom, done. It's a single, finished moment. But it was raining? We have no idea when that rain started, and we don't know when it's going to stop. It was just the atmosphere. It was the world that existed around that main event. And it gets even cooler. The imperfect doesn't just paint scenes. It actually lets you relive entire eras of your life. It's how you talk about old habits, your routines, family traditions, all that good stuff.
You know, when you say something like, we used to go to my grandmother's house on Sundays, you're not talking about one specific Sunday, are you? No way. You're summoning the feeling of all of those Sundays at the exact same time. The specific dates, they just don't matter. What's so amazing here is that this tense lets you step right back into the feeling of a whole period of your life.
And now we get to its most powerful, most human use, describing people from our past. I mean, there is a world of difference between saying, my father died, which is a cold, hard fact, and describing who he was. So when you say in Spanish, mi papá era alto, my father was tall, you're not just stating a fact from his file. For a split second, you're making him tall again. His tallness didn't have a start or an end date. It was just a continuous part of him. So the imperfect tense actually revives that quality, making it feel present. Some people even call it the present of the past.
And because it's so good at creating these ongoing states of being, it makes perfect sense that the imperfect is the natural choice for building imaginary worlds. It's what we use for kids' games, and even for describing our dreams.
Right? When a kid says this, they're using the imperfect to set up this temporary reality that only exists in their minds. It's the language of what if, of make-believe.
The imperfect is also for something you and I experience every single day, interrupted thoughts. If you get distracted and you turn to someone and ask, ¿Qué decías? What were you saying? You're implying that their thought was still in progress. It was just hanging in the air before it got cut off. It's literally the tense of an unfinished thought.
So why? Why is this one tense so incredibly powerful? Why does it feel so different from just stating facts? Well, because it's not really about grammar rules. It's a perfect reflection of how our minds actually experience the past.
And here it is. This is the heart of it all. The simple, factual past that's like a photograph. It's sharp, it's clear, and it's totally frozen in time. But the imperfect past, that's a memory. It's blurry, it's emotional, and it is not a static image. It's a whole scene you can actually step back into and walk around in.
The name is just so perfect, isn't it? It's called imperfect, not because it's wrong or flawed, but because our memories are. They aren't these neat, tidy, finished events. They're messy, they're emotional, and they are beautifully incomplete.
When you get right down to it, the imperfect is the language of nostalgia, of atmosphere. It's the language of dreams, imagination, and pure feeling. It's the difference between stating a fact about the past and truly showing someone what it felt like to actually be there.
So I'll just leave you with this question.
The next time you tell a story from your life, are you just going to list the facts, like from a police report? Or are you going to use the language of memory to take your listener all the way back into the room with you, to let them feel the rain that was falling and the heart that was pounding? If this story moved you or made you think differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And please, follow the channel for more stories like this.